sneeze. Jesus. Ugh. Alright. So. Let me, make sure I got... yeah, okay, good. So we got Fulgrim to work on today. I picked up Fulgrim Transfigured. I assume this is going to be very close to the actual release of Fulgrim. I have to assume that this is going to be very close. I was debating having like a low camera angle so you guys could kind of like see across the table as I'm working on him. But then I remembered that this is his wing size, and this is half the height of the entire stand. So you guys need a pulled back view. That's what I'm assuming. Oh, indeed. Indeed, we are live Forge World building. We are. We've already scrubbed everything to those who don't really interact with Forge World. You do really want to run it, put it in hot water, let it sit for a bit, scrub it with a brush. So I did all of that. What's up, Moon Salad? He's not really in like a Tyranid. The new one. The new model looks more Tyranid. He looks like you could put it next to a Carnifex. It's basically the same pose with wings. So we got those. Because they want me to do the wings first, which, I mean, easy enough. There we go. Yeah, probably not a lot of people familiar. Dude, he looks so badass. That is ridiculous. Like, this sweeping pose. From everything design-wise, you can see the parallel lines. You can see kind of how the intersection stuff works. Like, there's a lot of visual and aesthetic perfection in this versus the other one, which is just him staring at you with his arms out like he wants a hug. Like, this has a lot of elements of like, ooh, kind of feeling to it. Which is why I decided to go with this. I did. It's probably going to be a bit more expensive than the new one, because most of the Primarchs I think are like, what, 170? And this, of course, was like 270, so... Now, the trick with Forge World, I've only ever built one other Forge World model. We're going to have a lot of cleaning to do, is my understanding. Because it's not just about, like, the struts, right? Like, it's not... There we go. It's not just about these struts. It's also about... like weird little, and I noticed them on my one freaking aberrant type model. There's like this element to it where you're gonna find like little resin squares that are just weirdly attached to things. Because the problem is, if you don't really know the model, you would look at those squares and think, oh, that's meant to be there. It's not. It's absolutely not. So like step one in building these is always trying to figure out where those squares are just how you can trim them. There's also a tip I found online, which I completely get. You're supposed to... This is more of a ceramics term, slip and score. I can show you guys that in a second. Resin is weird when glued together. You can do that probably on this piece here. When glued together, resin needs to like grip into itself. Like the glue needs to grip into the resin in ways that you can't normally do. So what people suggest is when you have these joints here, I'm trying to figure out where my camera's best at. When you have these little like joints here, you're supposed to kind of cut into them in like a little grid almost. That way when the glue settles, it actually goes into the like little cuts and like digs in for a better hold. This is Horus Heresy, but the assumption is that the new Fulgrim model is going to be about the same for its basing scale. Because the base, this is the same size base as Magnus. This is Magnus's base. Someone put Magnus someone put this guy next to Fulgrim. This is Fulgrim's base. So this is the assumption that this base is what's going to be kind of the universal Primarch size. So this one should work at 40k scale. And if it's the same thing, if it's actually what we're assuming, one of the people in my local store actually posted a picture of this model next to the new model with the bases set to equivalent size. This guy's a lot larger than the new Fulgrim, specifically in like height. Width, I think new Fulgrim's a little better, just because his wings, rather than being straight up and down, are gonna be sideways. Like they're gonna actually kind of go left and right a little bit. But this one, it's like up and down. But he does have a spear that goes off to the side, so I feel to a degree like his size difference isn't really going to be like modeled for advantage in any way. I'm trying to lightly remove the excess resin here. But yeah, this normally would be Horus Heresy, but we're doing him in preparation for 40k Emperor's Children. Because, God, I can't wait, man. I cannot wait. See, these are the problem right here. I think those aren't supposed to be there. It's like these little squares. Let me take a look at the picture. I'm not seeing the little divot squares in the picture. Yeah. So I'm going to assume these little tiny squares that are on here are not at all meant to be there. We can kind of maybe zoom in a little bit, give you guys a little bit better of a view. But yeah, it's just this stuff. It's like a little tab. You run into a ton of these on Forge World models, and you have to kind of figure out, like, is it supposed to be there or is it not supposed to be there? Thankfully, my first resin Forge World model was that tiny Gene Stealer Abominant combo from the new Necromunda set, since he's going to be my Broodlord. Whatever the Gene Steal Patriarch, that's the word I was looking for. Gotta be careful here. Resin is not known for being very sturdy, so you gotta kind of have a gentle touch with whatever you do. Might even need to reinforce it a little bit. Plastic glue does not work here. On average, people suggest a couple different glues. Gorilla is usually my go-to. I'm hoping we have enough. I mean, it's not dry. I see it moving. Oh god, it might actually be dry. It was moving yesterday. I might have gone live prematurely. Today might just be a resin cleanup day. Okay. My buddy just got his first kill team. I feel like there's got to be super glue upstairs. Holding up to light. It is moving. Why is it not coming out? Air's coming out. Try to reinforce it a little bit. Well, we're gonna do this in a weird way. Oh well. At the very least, we can try to get most of this cleaned up. See what we can get glued today. It's snowing out, so I can't really go anywhere. Could check the closet upstairs. I was pretty sure I saw glue in there not that long ago. What team you getting for kill team? What group you aiming for? My buddy got Hyrotech. People bought it for him for Christmas. Cause he's been looking to try to get back into playing tabletop games with us. Which one am I looking at here? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, that's for that wing. See, they're tiny little struts right there. Okay, these aren't... What? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is for this wing. But then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yet again. Because they're the exact same brick. So the assumption is because they pack this differently. I'm guessing a lot of these pieces are all just sitting like in boxes, and they're supposed to pick up all the right ones and just check them. So I'm guessing there is supposed to be a different number system on this, but it's like the same exact shape anyway. So it'll probably be fine. Blooded. The only warping... Oh, God. Where did that go? Did anyone see where the... Oh, there it is. These are horrifying like that. The only warping, which we assumed would happen... The wings are fine. This is the only thing that warped. But honestly, the way it warped, I'm actually kind of okay with it. Because it's got that, like, slight snake shape. So I feel like, on completion, it actually won't look that bad. But we'll see. Worst case scenario, I'm going to boil some water and then burn my hands fixing it. It's a spear. He uses a spear in one of his hands, which is actually another reason why I prefer this model. I like spears in fantasy settings. I like the idea of them. There's a lot of swords and stuff. So any chance I get where there's a spear in existence, I usually try to make it. Get the tab off. Like when I made my buddy's Avatar of Cain, I went with the spear version, just because it looks so good. I didn't even care if there was like a statting difference, which I think at the time there was. And then I think they changed it so it's more universal now. Still can't believe my super glue doesn't want to come out. I feel like I need a slightly longer stick for this. Worst case scenario, we might use my E6000 because that glue is insane. Make sure the seam is good. You always need to double check these because slight variations in the mold. Next thing you know, you're just out here like, oh, I gotta trim that, I gotta shave that down. Ooh, still a little, okay, there we go. It's more a position thing than anything else. Switch to E6000. It's like the Gorilla Glue is in paste mode. Which means it's a little easier to apply. It doesn't seem to want to stick right away. So it's difficult to position and hold. It's sticking to my finger pretty well though. Classic. Yeah, see that's pretty well on. So you just gotta give it a second, I guess. Whoa. If I end up having enough glue to get them all together and I feel like he's actually like built well enough, we might actually paint him today, because I mean we're basically stuck here. At least for a bit. Get this tab off, there we go. I do miss the use of plastic glue on these things. Plastic glue always makes stuff like so much easier to deal with. Super glue brings a struggle all of its own. Because super glue is fickle. Like, it could get really cold out, and the next thing I know, I'm like picking up some of the small pieces off the model to have to put them back together. I'm gonna... Yes, this will be the first in the Emperor's Children explicit collection. The first. Might as well have it now. I'm gonna go check one of the closets upstairs. I'm 99% certain I have glue, so give me a second. It is still snowing out there, Jesus. One of the earliest models I got for the Thousand Suns, which is more, that's more my army. It's more like what I'm aiming to do. Was a box that came with Magnus. It was the Court of the Crimson King. I genuinely feel like I should be using E6000. Hang on. It's a little bit scary though, because E6000 might melt the resin a little bit. I don't know if I'm all about that life. Let me double... I'm gonna look it up. We're gonna turn to the wisdom of the internet. I'm gonna also skip that song. E6000 and Forge World models. People are saying they use it. This stuff is crazy. We're gonna put a little bit. Oh god. The issue is God, my glue is all over the place. Like, I've squeezed a lot of this out, and I think it cut itself at some point. Because there's like a hole with a bunch of dried E6000 near it. Like, it sealed its own hole, like a friggin' self-flat fixing tire. And the super glue did well enough, but I think we're going to try going E6000 for at least a little bit. Because honestly, I trust E6000 to hold like extremely powerful magnets to the bottom of a base on a metal tray holding the entire model down. Like, every model I've done with E6000 on the magnet has had zero issues going forward. Once I get my car repaired, and once I pay taxes, I'm gonna check my budget, because I gotta buy some UV lights. We're actually gonna light this guy. I got a whole shopping cart of the stuff I need in order to do built-in lights on these things. Good evening, Kill Team Hungry. How's it going? It's fun watching my one buddy get excited to get back into tabletop. It's good that we had all the Necrons too on hand, like the extra Necrons he needed for the higher tech. I'm kind of sad. I've recorded 2 battle reports, but like there were problems with the recordings. I was putting a lot of time into like the voiceovers and stuff. I still haven't solved the speed issue with battle reports, because that's like the key thing I gotta work on. E6000 takes a little bit longer to dry than what you would expect out of like a super glue. So let me set that aside. I need to pay attention to it because I feel like this is bending. Ooh, oxidated bronze. I did bronze statues with my original Death Guard. I love the look of them being like something that should last, but with age on it, that always looks good. Oh, shit. That always looks so good. Because it feels really Nurgle. But yeah, I did brass statues that looked like they were covered in algae, like they were like stuck underwater for a while. Phone call. Okay. There we go. Cleaning these is a little rough. No, yeah, we're all waiting for that. That's a video I'll easily put together. That's fine. This is drifting it. That hurts. It's like an hour-long song to me. Boop. But yeah, I'm pretty resolved to try to figure out a way to get you guys some good battle reports this year. Like I have to, man. It's cool seeing people interested in learning about teams, but I feel like there's still too big of a cross-section of people who go like, I want to learn to play. I'm going to learn to play by watching other people play. So the battle reports tends to be how they kind of like lean, which isn't always the best. You're not going to get all the stuff out of it that you want. I've heard people say some mistaken rules concepts for things like the mandrakes and stuff simply because they watched a game and I guess whoever they were watching didn't explain how something happened well. Like, what they said happened kind of worked, sure. But, like, the way it was described back to me was, like, not at all how it's supposed to work. So I always prefer people, like, learning the explicit ins and outs of the teams that they want to play, as opposed to just, like, watching someone else play them and be like, I understand. It's like, This is not how that worked. Okay, we gotta be careful here. The freaking Talon. But I do feel like a lot of people prefer to watch others play, just because talking about like what could happen and then showing people the realities of it, two very different things. Like in one of the recordings, I explicitly talk about a thing that the Felarch in the Corsairs was doing, because the Felarch is kind of a bit more closely related to a 3 APL unit, because he gets one free action regardless of what the action is. He's not just trapped in the free dash and that's it realm. So I tried to do this big play involving a charge and a fight and a shoot. But then in probably one of the coolest roles I've done in a while, the Void Dancer troop player actually Chegris Jest itself to survive. It negated one of his incoming attacks as a block and then blocked the rest of the damage and actually fully survived the combat, which that doesn't happen often considering how Chegris Jest works. But it was a pretty big moment, and I was like happy. And then I started looking over the footage, and there were some issues, and I was like, oh great. No. Dull side rub down, clear any of the excess. Corsairs are good. I like them. They're gonna be sadly missed from the competitive scene when they lose their classified status. I genuinely don't think the Hand of the Archon is a good replacement for them. The Hand of the Archon are close, but like, they just play too differently. Like, I'm gonna miss the Shade Runner from competitive. Shade Runner is too cool. The idea that it's one of, like, the few units that exists right now that can walk through walls in the Gallodark, that's really cool. Really flavorful. And yet, we're at this place of, like, no, I can't do that. Oh, man. This needs to be smoothed down a little bit. It's very jagged. Same thing over here. This guy's gonna look so cool. I'm so excited. We might actually get to paint him today. I'm so excited. Let me check this. So with this glue that we're using here, I think the process should be that we clean the components, make sure they're all good to be glued together, and then single batch glue the whole way through. Because this stuff dries relatively quickly when it's just sitting on paper. Actually, get my hand vacuum. Always invest in fun ways to clean up your workspaces. I gotta remember, I gotta get some B-roll. I don't know. Back out a little bit. So we got brutal and cunning. What's up next? What do we think? What you guys feeling? What you guys hoping for? Because technically we've been over inundated. We quickly got Hivestorm, and then almost immediately brutal and cunning. And then we got brutal and cunning shortly after the starter set reintroduced us to the Plague Marines. So where do we go from here? Do they finally sack up and give us a Tyranid kill team? I know. I know. Even people at the store who don't play are like, when's it happening? They're all sitting there going like, oh, what would be the good unit? Because the assumption for a lot of people who were on the outside looking in, they all thought that Kill Team was turning this entire season into units with jump packs. So they assumed that it's the I'm not huge into NIDs personally, so I don't know all their names. But they were really looking at something along the lines of like whatever those mini gargoyles are. Don't think, are they harpies? I thought harpies were bigger. There was like a smaller, different gargoyle unit that hasn't been reprinted in forever. Well, there's supposed to be something in between, right? Like Screamers or something. Nah, that's Zinch Demons. There's like a... God, what are they called? I know there was something. I mean, personally, at the end of the day, they should just either give us like a new elite unit and then box it with something else that's already been released. Because the problem is a lot of the NID models have been re-released. Yeah, Shrikes. There we go. Shrikes. Could you imagine an elite team of NIDs with like wings? That'd be cool. Or maybe just like one Shrike leading a squad of gargoyles or something. Like a lot of the people, the guy managing the store, like everyone, they were like, man, when are Shrikes coming back? Is Kill Team where Shrikes come back? I mean, in general, we do need a NID Kill Team. We just do. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, we heard it was like a whirlwind when it first got updated to Hivestorm, and now we've pretty much been like almost radio silent. I mean, it's been the holidays, so it's kind of understandable. You boost public... You boost public interest pretty hard for the holiday purchasing season. And then everyone takes a break because of how much they pushed to try to get as many sales as possible. I love that it's like a mini jump pack. It's so cool. Like the remnants of his the life support pack being part of his wings. It's just that minor detail that looks so nice. Maybe like 2 weeks from now we might start hearing stuff. At the very least, the data slate. I was always used to the data slate being out in December, but I kind of hated that. Because, like, okay, I don't do a lot in my year, like, vacation-wise, right? Like, I don't really care that much. But there is, like, a week or two out of the year where my friends are just like, yo, we're going to be hunkered down at our house, playing video games, hanging out, eating good food. That's kind of like my vacation. That's me being like, yep, that's where I'm going. I'm gonna be there. And the past like couple years of me doing this, the data slate always got dropped while I was at my friend's house. I was so annoyed because I'm just sitting there like, no. Oh man. Hang out. They want me to do the head next. I actually kind of like how the head's done for this. It's this thing. Like, it's done to the collar, which is pretty cool, I think. We gotta be very careful snapping it off, though. I'm probably actually gonna do it this way. have to... There's a strut there. We gotta clear... Not Lucius. Fulgrim. Although I'm going to be interested. Oh, wait. Or are you saying they just dropped news today? Like, one of two things is happening here. Either you're telling me that that they dropped the freaking preview for Lucius. Or you're mistaking Fulgrim for Lucius. And now I want to check. Now my brain is on fire. Oh, let's take a look. Oh no. Oh, it's just his silhouette. Yeah, I mean he'd be the pink one. That is Lucius? Are we sure that's Lucius? Hang on. Come on, come on, come on. Ah. Oh, it looks good. He's got his whip and everything. And his back just looks like a freaking what an organ, like a church organ. Oh, that's so cool. God, so if any of these visual and aesthetic things, if any of the visual and aesthetic shifts that we're seeing on a lot of like these models persist into the general units for the army, oh, it's gonna be so good, dude. I feel like Idoneth has been forgotten. Idoneth was huge in the last rules arc. Like, I feel like almost every big tournament that I saw had tons of Idoneth players at the top. I'm surprised they haven't pushed a lot of visual and aesthetic shifts to that army, because they love doing that to fan favorite armies, and I mean Idoneth was right there. So I don't really what's happening with that. This is going to be hard. We got to make sure we get all the right things that look like tabs. Because Idneth is pretty cool. The whole concept of just having like a bunch of big sharks. Come on. That's so cool. Land sharks. I love a lot of the high-end modeling and painting of it too. Because if you've ever seen like oh, there's a strut. If you've ever seen a really high-end, see, these are the ones that are hidden. I hate it. If you've ever seen a really high-end Idneth army, like you got the ones where like the base is resin poured to the shark so that it looks like the shark's on top of the ocean, like swimming through it, and you're like, dude, the effort and work it took to get to that point where you just have these big bricks moving along in the terrain of like a shark in the ocean. Okay. I mean, it's Shark Week every week if you're playing Idneth. And again, I feel like most of the tournament that I watched at the end of the last arc of the rule set, Idneth was everywhere. Okay, we need 2 horns, it looks like. 20, 21, 22. That's 1. Should probably pull. These are a bunch of the parts that just came off because the little connectors suck. 20, 21. I think these might actually be it. Where's this thing? The big one. Because this... yeah, this looks like something else. This is honestly the horrifying part of working with Forge World. Just coming to a place where you're like, uh-oh, where's the thing I'm supposed to glue to this? Pretty sure these are the hair things. But where is this? Man, that's base. These are the shoulder pads. Snake body, snake body. This is 1 part loincloth. Maybe it's smaller than I'm thinking. Yeah, there it is. Oh, thank God. I was gonna be worried for a minute there. But where's the other hair then? Oh, it's just both of those? Okay. Okay, so this is 20. Because they genuinely were trying to make it into a world people would be interested in. And I mean, they basically just decided it would be Guardians of the Galaxy. Which, I mean, that whole episode was Guardians of the Galaxy. Come on. But that's kind of the weird problem with it. Like, it would have worked, too. But there was such a stink of, like, a game being made almost by... What's the term? Like, a game being made by, like, a conglomerate, right? Like, a collection of, like, votes and thoughts. It's talked about a lot in most media that product that is put together by the concepts and terminologies of like a ton of people. Like the Money Men. I think who was it? I think Kevin Smith spoke on this. He was trying to do like he was getting like a directing job, right? And some really, really rich guy was like, I want to make a movie. So they had him go out to meet him to figure out if they wanted to make a movie together. Right, we gotta figure out exactly how this goes. And when he was talking to him about it, it was supposed to be a Superman movie, if I'm not mistaken. So his crown's basically coming off. It's kind of the whole thing here, it looks like. That's got to settle in. Okay. So the way the movie that this guy was talking to Kevin Smith about was supposed to go with Superman, he was talking about how it would like, Kevin Smith was like, oh, we'll focus on like the family and kind of how the human element and like the toll that being a superhero takes on that. Like, you know, kind of a fun direction to take the character if you're put in a position to make a movie about it. And then the guy he was talking to was like, I want a giant spider in it. Because he was like watching the Discovery Channel at the time, and he was watching a documentary on how giant spiders and wasps fight each other, and he thought that was cool. And like, those are people with money. Those are the money guys. And I mean, if they're gonna hand you a ton of money, they want the thing to be like, to have the elements of what they're interested in at the time. So like the conversation fell through on that. And that same person went on to fund the Wild Wild West movie, which had, if you're familiar, that entire concept of a giant spider and a wasp in it. So, super fun. Super, super fun. But when you get games like Concord from companies that have like a metric ton of investors and like a lot of people who want say in the product that's coming out, you know 100% of the time you're going to get that guy who's like, dude, Guardians of the Galaxy is doing numbers in box office. Make it like that. Just copy that. Just copy that homework. You know, a dumb idea. side does this go? Next thing you know, you're millions of dollars in the hole working on a project that most people are probably mildly sure isn't going to work. But, I mean, you don't get the money unless you agree to do it. So, I mean, it's going to happen. How are these laid out? No, yeah. The thing is, like, technically, from everything I've seen mechanically, Overwatch really wasn't a lot different from it. The thing that got people hyped about the lore in Overwatch was, like, their own doing, right? Like, a voice line would occur in the game where someone would be like, long time no see, and next thing you know, there's like 1,000 pages on a forum somewhere. Oh, they know each other. It's like, okay. You guys are thirsty. We'll do this first, hopefully. Maybe this will be what needs to happen. I don't know. The horns aren't numbered, is the problem here. So I'm not super sure which one goes where. I kind of have to base it on the way the spiral goes. I think this is the side one. I think this is this one. Because from... well, maybe not. It feels like it fits there. Struggle bus. But I mean, that's a Blizzard thing. You can't recapture, like... you can't recapture kind of how Blizzard works. You can't. You might think you can. But no. It's not going to happen. Oh. There's tiny struts I got to worry about down here. Dear God. Come on. There we go. Because that fan base is ravenous. They just want whatever the hell they can get. I honestly think when it started, like when Overwatch became a thing, it was just bound for success regardless of what else was happening. So Bethesda's kind of like this. Blizzard is definitely like this. There's like a cult mentality, like a cult of personality thing built around the company by a lot of the fans. There's this assumption of like, oh, it's a good company. They're always thinking about the fans. They're not really like stuck in the loop of like, oh, it's all business. Everything's business. There's that assumption that that's the case. It's not. Spoilers. It's not. even in recent times, Blizzard has been very clear on their stance of money above all. Profit before people. But there's still like that public notion of like, nah. They put stuff in here that means they're very socially aware. But it's, for me, it's fun watching the mental gymnastics it takes to, you know, keep Blizzard being the good guy. So enjoyable for me. Dude, these are tiny. We say that, but like I still talk to people. I still talk to people who are like, nah, they're still a really good company. They do a lot of good. It's like, okay. They've used their platforms for money making more than anything else. I don't really know why you still think that they're in it to help you in the world. Still kind of sad. I was a massive fan of Gigantic, which was one of the competitors that Microsoft was trying to put into place at the time of the hero shooter boom. Like, Microsoft thought they had a winner there, and I loved the hell out of that game. I really loved the hell out of that game. But it had its problems inherently. There was a lot of talk about where those problems came from. Like, who was to blame. But, I mean, you can never really be sure. Is this? No. This is that side. This is this side. Okay. Apparently we gotta be hyper careful here. They tried to bring Gigantic back, but the company that picked it up, I don't know. I feel like it was mostly just about just trying to put something out to see if it could quickly make money. Because they really didn't try that hard, I feel like, to get it to work properly. Still had all the same inherent issues of the original build. The thing they tell me to do here is to cut this stuff. I'm supposed to trim to get to the spikes. This is insane, by the way, that they make me do this. So here, the thing I have just generally is an issue with modern gaming. What was the point in calling it Marathon? So like I played Marathon way back. We had a cool computer ed teacher at my school who installed a lot of video games on a lot of the computers to have us play them. And one of them was Marathon. And Marathon was really fun to play. It was basically an old boomer shooter, pretty much. Like the truest of boomer shooters. And it was fun. It was enjoyable. She also didn't... She looked the other way as we all installed StarCraft onto every computer in that freaking lab. Whenever we were there as a class, we would all... one of us would start the game. Like, the way that all the tables in that room were positioned, right? There were a couple computers she wouldn't be able to see. So that was always the side that would start the hosting for the game. That way we'd all have a game to get into, because the moment she looked away, we would like boot the game. And then hop into the lobby and we would all play frigging a versus match against each other while doing the classwork. It was great. But that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think companies understand this. If you're calling it Marathon, but it's not the actual game, like, it's not Marathon, right? All you're doing is going to piss off the group of people who are like, ooh, Marathon! I love that old boomer shooter. It reminds me of when I was a kid. And then they get it, and it's not what it was, and they're just like, okay... Why? Why not just name it something new? Be different. Because, I mean, almost nothing about it is Marathon. I mean, Halo's more Marathon than anything else. And then to just be like, extraction shooter. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. This is going to be a struggle. Dude, these spines are some psycho shit. God damn. He has tiny little spines on his shoulder, and you're supposed to cut all the resin out to get to them. Go up to there. Yeah, but I mean, they could have just called it anything. It could just be a new title, new IP. There's no reason to have to like burn bridges for like old titles. It's such a weird thing. Like, it's such a... This is one of those psychologies moments where, like, I kind of want to know what it's called. There has to be a word for this. And it's not nostalgia, right? Like, it's... Nostalgia is probably part of it. But why are people interested in getting titles back from their past, even if that title isn't really the game, right? Like... It would be like if they made a hero shooter and called it Banjo-Kazooie, right? And the fans are like, finally, a new Banjo-Kazooie. It's like, I don't know about it being that. You're getting something that's called Banjo-Kazooie. But I wouldn't say you're getting Banjo-Kazooie. Dude, holy crap, these spikes. Come on, Razor Blade. Do your work. Been playing Path of Exile too, a little bit. It's probably one of the main contributing factors to me not getting anything done these past couple weeks. My friends were into it, so I was like, whatever, I'll get into it. Game is in a very rough spot, and from my own perspective, it's not great. I get why my friends like it, but at the same time, my friends are huge number goes up people. And I mean, games like that, the loot grind, frickin' wheel and all, number goes up is pretty important to them. Okay, I need you guys to see this. So let me do this. Let's see if I can put this on camera. This is very hard because it's kind of mirrored. There you go. You see those little teeth? That had resin in it. I had to cut every single little one of those out of the resin to give it that weird, like, sideways mouth. Classic Slanesh shape. This kit wiped out the Emperor Children Fund and then some. I mean, it's $275. I knew it was going to happen. I think this is what's supposed to go. Can't tell if that's supposed to... Yeah, I think it is. Pretty sure this is what's supposed to go there. So this is supposed to go on this one. We gotta find all the rest of the tiny pieces. Dude, there's so many small pieces. Like, Jesus Christ. I think this is it. 28, right? Yeah, these are it. These are so tiny. They're so tiny. And then we need one of these. I don't know if it's this one. 21. these are the swords. Body, tail bits, a couple arms that fell off. Feathers, these are some hands. Loincloth goes there. This is the waist protector, I believe. This is more basing stuff. I'm pretty sure this is part of that, along with potentially that. This is one of the shoulder pad covers, but you're not supposed to put it on yet for some reason. More swords. Head component, mid-waist. The rest of the arms. Spear. So it's one of these. I'm not sure which one. Kind of a problem. I think it might be this one. End game though. What is okay? End game, in my opinion, for what Marathon could have been. I mean, if it was ever to come out or whatever, I think it kind of works because there's an issue I feel like in extraction shooters as a genre, and it's not easy to get into them. Extraction shooters kind of came off the rip like super hot. They were just like, oh, you need to know ammo types. Like extraction shooters got really crazy. Pretty much straight off the rip. So there's no casual really shooter within that genre. And that kind of sucks for people who are like, I kind of want to enjoy extraction shooters, but I don't know how. Which, I mean, that's a common thing in gaming, right? A buddy of mine brought this up with me once, that a fun thing you can do when you're playing a game to see how the general public works with it is you can kind of utilize the achievements, right? Like the achievements that have occurred, the achievements people have picked up. You can actually check them versus you, right? So there's a lot of games I've played where I get to the end and it gives you the, hey, you beat the game achievement. I'm like, sweet. And I'll go back after like a couple months and I'll check. And it's literally like, you beat the game. You're the same as 0.01% of people. And that notion, the concept of, oh, like a ton of people decided against finishing this for one reason or another within a month's time of it being released who purchased it. A lot of the times people will buy a game like, let's say, Elden Ring, because, I mean, that's the new hotness. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's playing it. They won't even play it. They probably don't even like the genre, but for some reason they've purchased it. It's just a weird psychology thing in games. Wanting to be part of something without actually taking part. Dude, that is super tiny and I hate it. Now we gotta glue two other super tiny things on. I'm not even sure if it's the right ones. I'm gonna assume they're the right ones. Oh, there's alternate parts. That's why. So there's like, I'm guessing it's gonna be those two. There's even a different head for the spear, which we're not gonna, maybe. I don't know, that's a longer head than normal. Oh, you don't need to go with the spear. He can either be 4 swords or he'll have a spear. And then that's where the other fabric is, it looks like. Is there more? Is there another spot for fabric? is. So I think this is actually one of the last fabrics that has to go on. Yeah. This is this one. This is his belt fabric. Which means these, I think... No, maybe not. I think this might be his belt fabric. This is 40. Of course it doesn't show me exactly. No, maybe. That is curled in almost the exact right way. It also has the inner plastic I need to get rid of, although this is very similar. This is why it's Struggle Bus, because they're just like, yeah, it's piece number 40. Yeah, tell me which one's piece number 40. Do it. I dare you. But yeah, it could have been good if they actually released it or had a proper date and time and weren't collapsing as a company. Oh, they want you to pick one of these. Which one do I want to pick? I'm gonna put that over there. I'm gonna go with this one. They're back to doing fine because they had people step down recently. There was some weird connection because part of Sony picking them up as a company was their success with live service games, which that was their whole big maneuver recently, was wanting more live service. So they figured hiring the team that did it would give them access to the mines and make it so that some of their upcoming projects would be more successful. And then apparently they like stepped in on some projects and were like, stop, it's a terrible idea. So like a ton of the big projects got like shuttered. supposedly it wasn't like a good look. And part of the deal that Sony had with them was like at a certain point, if they didn't hit certain numbers, Sony was gonna kind of like take over the company as like most controlling or something, the highest controlling stake. And I thought people stepped down. After a bit of a fiasco. The build is going. It is quite crazy. We're putting some tiny stuff on, which is always fun. We're trying to figure out which of these fabrics is the one that needs to go on. Because we have this. No, yeah. The issue with live service is mostly the cannibalization of itself, right? If the whole purpose of gaming is to try to get people into your game and to stay in your game at all times and spend money on it while they're in there, at some point, the companies making a ton of them need to realize that what they're doing is they're pulling people from the other games. And it makes it direly difficult to deal with. Like, genuinely dangerous when it comes to maintaining multiple teams. Since all you're doing is making all the teams compete with each other, and if one team stands above the others, that team's probably going to get fired. Or the rest of the teams are going to get fired, because if there's only one game that ends up rising to the surface, I mean, you're about to lose a lot of employees, because there's no reason to keep them. Tiny pieces. So we gotta figure out which one this is. 'Cause I don't even know, man. Because like they're like, this is 15. Well, I'm pretty sure 15 is this one. So that should go on the spear. But what's 23? Is this 23? Or is this 23? I feel like the bottom of this is supposed to be looped in, which makes me think, yeah, okay, it's got to be this. This one's 23. No, yeah. Oh, dude, it was my favorite thing ever when Bungie came out with MMO Halo. Because I remember they were talking about how leaving Microsoft was going to give them more creative freedom to try big things and make games no one's ever seen or heard of before. Because I actually got kind of hyped. I was like, oh, they're going to push themselves. This is great. And then they released MMO Halo. It's like, oh, okay. Like, hype gone. I'll try it, but... I think that's how it's supposed to go. This is definitely the inlay for it, right there. It's always, that's probably my favorite thing in gaming, is when a company does the whole like Peter Molyneux, oh, it's gonna be epic speech. It's gonna be unlike anything you've ever seen. You're gonna experience new. What you're going to go through is like unlike anything you've ever gone through before, and then it's just the same game that you've been playing, that you've been seeing, and you're like, oh, okay. And they have to. I get it. They have to. I mean, there's no reason not to hype whatever you're making up. I mean, there's no downside to it, right? Like, there's no... In the grand scheme of things, there's no moment where it's like, oh, you're gonna go to jail for saying what you did and then not delivering. No, that people don't really care that much. It's not a thing. Very careful not to hit the medallion while trying to figure out how to level this into there. No, my auto mod. Man. There's a chance I'm gonna need to try to get some Gorilla Glue together for this bit. Even these ones, the little ones, I think probably needed it as well. How's this one holding up? I have to Gorilla Glue this one too. Yeah, probably. The trick with E6000 is it's a really good hold, but at small enough scale, it's not really that solid. Oh, yeah. Pope, this is the resin kit. Sorry, I was hyper fixated on trying to get this to actually settle in. Because these are the tiny pieces that I don't want to lose. Ugh. Whole marketing scheme has been perfect. John Hellmeyer's up on stage. Warren Knoxville. It was pretty high. That's the thing. I think at this point, if an update comes out and it's big and they're like, and it's there, like, I think that's probably the only way you can truly hype an announcement anymore. Is like, oh, dude, that update that you guys have been talking about, that we've been going back and forth on, talking about like what's gonna happen and all that, it's alive right now. Like, that's the big thing. That's what everyone wants, I think, at the end of the day. Is immediate. I mean, it's obvious. It's immediate gratification. It's like culturally where we're at right now. We need to do this spear. I want to do this spear more than anything else. And it's slightly bent. But I think I'm okay with it. Music is Terraria as hell. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, when companies start talking about updates they're working on, everyone starts playing the, oh, they're talking about it now. Obviously, that means it'll be out in, like, a week. It's like, what are we talking about? Why a week? Why are we even playing the when is it coming out game? This game never ends well for anyone. And then, yeah, that just becomes the thing. Whereas if you just get little hints and pieces here, just like from the community talking about what's coming up potentially, and then all of a sudden it's out, like, that's just the way to go. The games that shadow drop, like games and updates, big updates that all just shadow drop, those are the ones that people seem to care about. And it's kind of interesting because there's that whole side of the community that's like physical games. We all need physical games constantly. And sure, there's a lot of function to that makes it really valuable, but you don't really get shadow drops of stuff physically. Some companies have tried that like hybrid shadow drop where they do the announcement, they shadow drop the digital version with the physical version coming in like a month. Because now they need to print it and ship it. Ugh. And part of the Emperor's Children budget is going to be used on replacing my car's coolant reservoir. 100% it's leaking. I knew it was leaking months ago, but my garage was like, nah, it's probably fine. There's probably not a leak in it. No, it's leaking. It's 100% leaking. Went to my friend's house last weekend. 2 weekends ago, technically. And when I got there, I kept hearing like a sloshing noise, like air and liquid being pulled around in my engine. I was like, okay, that can't be good. So I checked, and yeah, the reservoir was 100% empty. So I gotta get that done now. I think it's gonna be like $500 on average. Parts and labor. Sometimes that garage does good things, though. You'll get like a really good deal on something because they like know a guy. They handled my brother's car a lot, and they handled a bunch of repairs on my old car. They all ended up being really good, so sticking with it. Trick is when there's dead silence for game updates for like forever. I mean, everything's in balance. Because even if your game's out, you're still competing with upcoming games. Especially with a game like Helldivers. Like how PoE 2 came out on PlayStation, so a cross section of the Helldivers community and potential community. I mean, you're dropping that update, you're competing with PoE 2 for people who like isometric action. And the same's going to be said for that as well. I mean, I'm kind of interested in what they've shown for PoE 2, but at the same time, I'm also a little annoyed by how much is missing. Then again, I kind of did it to myself picking Warrior as my class. Warrior is not in a good state. Okay, for the most part, this is clean. Little bits and pieces here and there I'm going to need to do a little work on. But yeah, that's how the spear is here. They show it being basically straight, I guess, to a degree in the picture. Like, it probably should be like that. These are the parts that when you order Forge World, like, these are the ones you're going to have to expect to be problematic, that you're going to need to, like, heat up a little bit and fix. Some people use hair dryers. My buddy did boiling water. Oh, dude, he's so many bits. He's actually not that bad, though. There's some tiny bits. Like, this is annoying. So, in here, it's literally like, okay, for this arm, you're either doing all of this, or you can just do the sword. So, like, there's a little bit of a cop-out where you can be like, I'm just going to do the sword. Screw it. But that is not how I work. This is the tail. Oh, dude, they're already going to be out. I mean, there's probably already a few hitting the markets no one's seen. Thing is, I don't mind that type of situation. 9 times out of 10, well, actually, let's reverse that. 1 time out of 10. The person making the game that's going to be a clone of it is a massive fan of it, who also looks at it and goes, man, if only it had this. And chances are there's going to be a fairly large cross-section of fans who are like, yeah, I also agree, if only it had that. Is this for this? I think it is, right? I feel like it is. Maybe not. Did we determine that this was the belt? I think this might be the belt. Because the belt one needs the removal of this, like, area in between. This one doesn't have any removal. This one's fine, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's this, because this also has the snake tongue. I mean, you know there's someone out there right now typing into something, like some AI program. Make me a game like Helldivers. And then we're gonna get some garbage. Get some assets together. I want a monster. We need that. We need this. Which arm? Which arm is it? Cool. They didn't mark the arms with numbers. I love it. This one has a bracer on it with a bunch of gems. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Dude, the detail on this bracer. Resin is insane, man. The resin they use. I don't even know if there's a way I can show you guys this outside of taking like a really good close-up picture and posting it on the Discord. Oh, dude, crypto asset flips, those are amazing. They're so good. Let's do a little bit of that. Still like E6000 as a glue. Then we also should probably blend in chemicals here, because this is a very tiny wrist. And I kind of want to maximize chances of it never falling off. And I know people are like, oh, pin it. Maybe. I think I have staples somewhere. We need the head of it as well. 14. What does it look like? It's one of these, right? It's this one. These are one of those giant tabs that are unnecessary. Oh, there's gonna be so much to clean on this. So much tiny resin. I am building 30k Fulgrim, expecting fully to use them in 40k. Doing it because I prefer this model over the new one they showed for 40k. I get it. I kind of get why they're going that approach. I get the whole concept of like he took a virus bomb to the face. Now what you're looking at is the outcome of excess and arrogance, because now he looks like a little off, a little ridiculous. But still, just visually and conceptually. The pose, the weapon choices, I greatly prefer 30k Fulgrim. Because he has a spear, and I love spears. Spears in sci-fi settings like this are just way too cool. Okay, so the assumption, this is the same size base as Angron. This is the same size base as Magnus. I'm pretty sure it's the same size base as Mortarion. So the assumption is yes, he should have the same size base. If that is actually the case, he's a much larger model, standing tall and slightly wide than the new one. The new one has a little bit of width to it just because the wings are going to the sides as opposed to up. But yeah, this is the Magnus base. And this is what came with it. I think I'm going to either lightly tack him down on this, or we're going to do something where I put a magnet under here and then magnetize it directly to the base so that if there is another base size, like if they decide he's going to be like smaller or larger, then I'll probably make the adjustment. But there is a picture online that I found of this model next to Angron, and they're about the same size. So my assumption is this is actually going to be it. Well, okay, so 40k Fulgrim, I get kind of why. Like, here's the issue. This model visually is posed so stupidly well. It's such a good model, in my opinion, that when you see it... Hang on, I think I need to... Yeah, we gotta trim these off. It looks like these are strutted. How much of it's strutted? When you see this model, it feels action-packed. Like, it feels like it's doing something. But the new one just doesn't. The new one feels a little bland. Just in general. But, like, the variances and differences, I think they're good. Like, I think it's good to have, like, the two different things going. Especially because it tells a story of, like, where he was at his peak versus where he is now. And that's probably good. But also, I feel like they kind of tricked me into wanting to buy this one. Because, like, I was thinking of buying it. But I wanted to see if there'd be one for 40k. And then they showed me it. And now I wanted to buy this one. Forge World resin is rough to use. It's rough. And a little bent at times. I'm pretty sure visually in the picture that I'm looking at here, I think this is actually supposed to be turned a little bit. I don't know. I expected it to be rough, though. I didn't expect it to be like a walk in the park. Kind of hoping it would be a little less with the tiny pieces, but at the same time, you kind of grow to expect the tiny pieces. I think I'm okay with the bend. Because the bend makes it look like a spine, which is part of the aesthetic of it as well. Like, part of this is a spine. So I kind of like that about it. That it has that built-in element. So I'm probably fine with it. This thing is insane. This thing is so crazy looking. Oh my god. My buddy used the hot water trick. The thing is, the hot water trick for him was actually boiling it. And then he physically put his hand in it to try to get it to work properly. Figure out which arm this is. I think it's this one. Looks like this one. Yeah, it's this one. Sword is 32, I think. I think that was this, right? Is it this? I don't think it's this. Which sword is this? Is it this one? Yeah. Yeah, because he had the Forge World Dreadnought for his Custodes collection, and there was like a pretty serious part on it that was pretty badly bent, so he had to go back in, fix it up. Let's try to get this just right. But yeah, it's just personal taste. I like this one better just as a personal opinion. Which is why we decided to go with it. It also meant we get a head start, which is kind of cool. We can establish at least one thing in my Emperor's Children army. I mean, if you don't feel confident with it, yeah, I'd say don't. Because it is, like, maybe find something small and cheap from Forge World. Like some resin model that's, like, more readily available to pick up and check out. Knowing full well that when I say small and cheap, that's, like, not a thing in anything Forge World related. I wanted to buy the Gene Stealer called Tech, or what is it, Admech guy, the infested friggin' Admech, and the giant Gene Stealer Abominant crossover. I wanted to get them for my Gene Stealer Cult army as, like, stand-ins for certain models. But then, like, the price for each was, like, $45-$60 or something. I was like, yeah, I'm only getting one. It's not happening. Oh, well. Feeling like we're gonna need to let this sit for a minute. Okay. What the hell is this? It's not one of these. It doesn't look like. This is his tail. The other sword options. Is it this? I think it's this. Yeah, it's this one. Ah. Get some of the rail on there. It does, but they're not good. Like, you'll notice these are numbered. Let me tell you what isn't numbered. Any of this shit. Like, none of it's numbered. Most of the time, you're relying entirely on your vision of, like, oh, that's what this is. And my favorite part is when you get them, you really need to check your box. Like, don't just throw the box out. Because a lot of these pieces, they're only hooked like what you're seeing here. And these rails aren't that great. So occasionally you'll come across ones that are empty and you're just like, oh great. You gotta look around in the box to make sure that the little single pieces are just floating around somewhere so you don't throw them out. And then you gotta remember you gotta clean them all. So you have to make sure the vat you're cleaning in is easy enough to reach in and grab like the stuff that falls off. Because stuff will fall off. I had to grab at least one thing out of the vat when I was done. And then, of course, glue-wise, because it's resin, you don't want to use plastic glue. You have to use super glue. People suggest Loctite or Gorilla Glue. I've been trying with some of the pieces to use E6000. Only some of the pieces, though, not all of them. Like, some of these smaller ones I do feel like I need to go back in and use what little Gorilla Glue I have left. Thought I had more. I literally checked it last night and it looked fine, but now it's barely coming out. I'm having to remove it. Insane, man. The handguard on it, ugh, so crazy. But yeah, there's a reason why on the website these are marked. Oh, that's not even done. Hang on. There's a reason why on the website these are marked as like extreme. Why would they make me do this? This is genuinely stupid. His bracelet has the tiniest piece of plastic that's supposed to be hanging off of it. Of all the pieces on this model, this is the first one that's gonna vanish. There's actually a high chance I just probably want to trim it to not have this and then call it a day. Like, this is gonna fall off in the painting process. Come on. Why would you do that to me? Yeah, we're just gonna hope. We're gonna hope that it's gonna sit there and be fine. That'd be cool. I imagine, yeah, it would line up well, right? Because a lot of Kill Team is basically releasing a squad, right? So most likely what's going to happen is there's going to be a melee-centric Emperor's Children squad that's probably going to come out in Kill Team specifically. Alright, now we got to do 37, which has like a tiny bracelet. Which sword is this? It's this one. Looks like this one. It's not this one, right? This is the alternative sword for the other side. 37 should be this arm. So this is going to need some cleanup. It's either going to be a up close and personal team that's elite, or it could be long range. What could be cool is if they lean into like that sort of cultist tier model approach, and maybe that ends up being the kill team. Like some weird small squad of just like regular people who've been drugged up with like a leader in the squad. Something like the Drakari have these. It's like the Beastmaster animal handler guy. So you get like one big elite unit in the squad that's like powerful and is very key to that squad's existence. And then just a bunch of little expendable units that can weirdly become good for short periods of time. That could be pretty cool. Starting to doubt that we're going to paint this today, because what's going to happen is I'm going to put it together, and if some of the parts start like falling off, I'm going to need to take a minute. Maybe work on getting like a pinning vise, because I don't want him to be like poorly put together and then just to paint him. Like if there's problems, I want to solve them before they just get painted up and then I gotta re-glue everything because it's all falling apart. I feel like some of this glue isn't gonna hold. Like it kinda does, but then I touch it and it gets like brittle. I don't know how well that's gonna do long term. I will say this, if you're planning on getting Fulgrim and you're trying to figure out if you want this model or the one that's coming up, if you are not skilled at resin work and have zero faith in yourself at actually being able to pull off good resin work, get the plastic one. 100%. Get the plastic one. Don't trick yourself into thinking that this is going to be like, oh, I'll just overcome this. This is way too expensive of a model to get, like, at the beginning. And to try your hand at resin. Whereas we all know that plastic one's going to be just like a quick zip in, do the mold lines a little bit maybe. Although since it's a new model, you probably won't have to deal with too many mold lines. I don't know if they'd do a noise marine on the team. They might. Be cool if they brought the cacophony up and that was the kill team. Just 6 people with a bunch of different gun profiles. Simple sword. Last on the list is this arm and a hand, which I'm pretty sure is this. Yep. Gotta have that free hand. Can't have weapons in every hand. Cut the resin out of the middle of the finger areas. Keep forgetting about that. Gotta be careful though, these are tiny, tiny fingers. The ridiculousness of this. There we go. Gotta get music going again. That's cool though. The outline of Lucius looks really nice. Khan's definitely not the one coming back. At the end of the day, when you're looking at like what new model is Games Workshop going to put out, you always have to look into what's the fan favorite, right? And even though I kind of like the idea of White Scars, I kind of like the idea of Khan and everything. Not enough people do. So if you're really trying to think of like who's gonna be next, you have to look at fame. You have to look at player interest. So like, we're getting Perturabo at some point here on the side of Chaos is like the big rumor, I guess, for the next Chaos Primarch. Outside of Fulgrim. We might even get Perturabo before Fulgrim actually releases for sale. I think because he's not going to be for sale until closer to the actual models for Emperor's Children, to my understanding. There we go. So a lot of people were thinking, what was it, the Emp Fist guy? Because that's like the straight reverse side to Perturabo. And a lot of people play Imperial Fists. Yeah, it could be Wolf. Oh, they want me to start doing it. We're gonna start doing it, chat. We're gonna trim a little up so I can actually clear these properly. It's like a little handle there. What the hell? Is that a strut or... Yeah, it looks like a strut. Yeah. This is where the real trick comes in. You gotta figure out what is actually supposed to be there and what's just there to support the final resin pour. Because these are supposed to be leather straps. They're not supposed to be connected to each other. That was an issue on the little guy I made. Yeah, Dorn. Dorn's supposedly the big one that we should be getting. not so much of the Rogel variety. But like, any way you cut it, it's supposed to be kind of like, think whoever is a fan favorite, that's probably going to be it. Like, that just seems to be the case. That was one of them, yeah. The, Korax. A lot of people were like, oh, dude. Imagine playing a Loyalist Space Marine army with a Demon Primarch. And I agree, it could be kind of fun. The idea of it. Because it flies in the face of everything the Empire stands for, right? Could be fun. Nerds getting mad at each other. The Empire's not supposed to have demons. Surprise! Most likely all Primarchs are based on demons. That was probably the Primarch program. Utilizing the power of demons in the warp to create extremely powerful human beings. Oh yeah, dude, he'd be a dope as hell model. So cool. This arm first. Yep, the little thing already fell off. I think I might just shave that down, if I'm being real. Actually, don't even know if I can find that thing again. That little wrist thing. Yeah, I'm gonna say screw it to that wrist thing. We're pulling the ripcord on that. An absolutely unnecessary visual aesthetic. hard to hold. The issue is the sword's glued at the wrist. So to apply the pressure I need to apply, I can't press at the wrist. I have no idea. I don't. What you'll find with 40K writing and lore is a lot of it does lean into, I guess, social panderings. I'm not saying that negatively. It's just what's going to happen is if enough people are like, maybe that's the case, then yeah, it'll be the case. Most likely, someone's going to write, and it's going to be suggested that you kind of like fall into that line. The trick is with a lot of the writing, though, it is about like sparking those kinds of conversations of like, oh, well, who will be the leader then? So there's an element of it where probably won't ever know, maybe. They'll probably just leave it to your imagination. Because solidifying lore is probably one of the potential worst things you could do. Very rarely in any nerddom is solidifying lore a good thing. We all want it, right? Like, most of the people in this whole situation are like, oh, dude, I want to know. I want to know how it all worked out. I want to know, is this person alive or dead? I want to know. And solidifying that lore is going to piss off a chunk of people who are like, there's no way they survived. Or, oh yeah, they're definitely alive. Like, those two camps are going to grow over time. And unless you solidify it early, you're going to have like a big chunk of people who are going to be very mad at you for going one way or the other. Oh, God damn it. So, like, if you ever write, like, books, like, you kind of have a time frame for whatever you've written, where if it's not done, if the story's not done by a certain time, there's almost no reason to actually finish writing, just because you're going to piss people off. just need it to hold. Just for a little bit so it can dry. Dude, look at this thing. He's so redonkulous. Ah. Yeah, but then when you take that mentality into a business mentality, risk of pissing off a group just becomes a problem conceptually, even though it really shouldn't. Like, it should just be better. But at the same time, I kind of like the way 40K sort of approaches things with their storytelling involving the game. Like, it's not straight up, and they'll make adjustments as it goes. But like when they do the events, right, of like the Battle for Armageddon and stuff, where the entire premise is player action being reported by event organizers is what's going to change the course of the universe. Like, that's kind of cool. It was a little weirder for Leviathan, but I mean, that was COVID. That's why they put all those the information in the boxes to be like, hey, you don't need to do an event, just fill out this code and tell us how your game went, and we'll deal with it. Which most people are pretty sure that a lot of the people that bought those boxes didn't report, and then a few that did were just like, oh yeah, I hella won as Tyranid. Because they definitely, it did really feel like Games Workshop kind of like built that box to try to let the Space Marines win. Like, the Space Marine team in that box felt way more impressive and way designed to fight and kill Tyranids. So like, I think they were hoping that the Battle for Leviathan would have ended in a Space Marine victory. God damn it, dude. Hold. There's so much of a surface for you to be holding. New anime season's coming out. I know it's like, I'm gonna do this a lot with just random tangents, but new anime season's coming out. This last anime run for a lot of different series was not interesting to me. Like, a lot of it was a little bit rehashed, a little bit basic. Some of the Netflix ones were good though. Dan to Dan, all that. Which is always cool. So I'm so scared to touch this in like anything that isn't the solid midsection. There we go. Holy crap. Nowhere to put it. Fingers crossed. I need to wash my arm. I got glue all over the side of my arm, BRB. Well, there goes all the hair on that part of my arm. I mean, there hasn't really been a lot. Like, nothing outstanding. Anime is getting very, like, wash, rinse, repeat at this point. They're constantly trying to step out, like, a little bit with some concepts. But then those concepts just feel like whatever as time goes on. We're gonna need to do like a mix for this, I think, because they want me to do this one. How the hell am I gonna... Dude, this is gonna be insane. I might need to pin this. I feel like I'm going to need to pin this. This one's going to need to be pinned. The wings are going to have to be pinned. There's no way. I'm gonna have to pin the wings. I'm gonna have to pin like all of his snake body midsection stuff. So, there's a trick with this. This isn't plastic. This is resin. So you have to use, usually super glues, because plastic glue doesn't really work here. There's not really a way to like melt stuff together for more secure connections like you can get with plastic glues. So when it comes to like this, right? Like this component, which has to go here. There's gonna not be enough like support for this to hold. Like this is gonna fall off all the time. So the way that they suggest in these situations for you to have to like do something to fix it is to pin. Like they want you to do a pinning like effort, I guess, between the 2 points. Like specifically heavy body stuff like this. And then it's going to even persist when we get to here. Because I'm going to want to pin that into there. Because I need this to be as reinforced up through the mid-body all the way through to the wings. Right? It is very important that this be very durable. Because the last thing I would want is to move it around and have this just pop off. And then shatter the wings out and break all the arms. Like, you don't want that. So normally what you would do here in this situation is you get like a paper clip or something and a pinning vise, and you just drill into the middle parts and then try to line it up so that they hold really well. With that reinforced like midsection. You can't easily do it with the arms. I mean, you technically could, sort of. But not as much as you would hope. I might Amazon order a pinning vise. Some paper clips, some new super glue. Because this is pretty much at the end of its existence. No, yeah, but super glue is what you have to use. It'll either hold or it won't. You're supposed to like slip and score the surface of some things to try to get it to set better than it would normally. But, I mean, that only kind of reinforces it. But yeah, 100% I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to pin most of the body and the wings. So that it's not that bad. Because the arms feel good. The arms actually do kind of feel good where they are. Like, they're pretty durable. At least, okay, so what I try to do when I'm testing, like, the hold, I think of a brush, right, with paint on it, and I think this is how much pressure this is going to get hit with when I'm brushing. So I tap it at that quality, and if it immediately falls off, it's like, okay. Like, this hold here is probably not as good as it should be. For the most part, the bulk of this is kind of holding well. Pinning vises aren't that expensive. They're pretty simple. Technically, I have modeling wire here. I could use. Oh yeah, I saw the Gundam stuff. I did. Maybe we try it. I don't know. I'm spending a lot on GW stuff. I can't just like branch out like that and just be all over the place. Seems interesting enough, but my fear is always with what happens in these like branded ones like this, where they try it for a little bit and then the company gets bored or doesn't see like the multi-million-dollar spike that they were hoping for, and then they just like pull the plug. Because there was a Star Wars game. Wasn't one of the Star Wars games, I can never remember which one it is, that was really recent. It was like touted as really good. And everyone really liked it. And then the company making it like cut support for it like after a year or something. Like they were just like, that was fun, guys, bye. Like, I hate that. I hate that concept. I hate that concept so much. Yeah, it's probably X-Wing. I think that sounds right. But like, yeah, everyone really liked the format. They talked about how awesome it was, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe I'll look into it at some point, and then it just died. Even though it was talked about, they had tournaments for it. Like, people were going to tournaments for it. And they were really excited to play that game, and then the company was just like, no more support. Goodbye. Like, there's a madness there, in my opinion. Like, something taking off and actually doing well, and the company's that willing to pull the plug because it didn't do as well as they were hoping. This shit takes time, man. Instant gratification is ruining a lot of things. Depending on how the roads look, I might actually step out for a bit. See if I can find most of the stuff I'll need to pin this at my local art store. Dude, it's like a... You remember when Niantic came out with Pokemon Go and it blew up, or yeah, Pokemon Go, and it blew up and everyone was like, oh my god, top tier, this is amazing. And then around that time was when all of the ads for Niantic's other game, the tower defense game thing that they did, where it's kind of the same thing but it's their own IP, all of a sudden just tons of ads started popping up for that game all over the place, because they were like, yeah, it's cool that you like the game that we have to pay Nintendo stuff for, like Nintendo makes most of the money off of it and blah blah blah, but hey, check out our other game if you really like that game, because it's the same thing but it's us and we make the bulk of the money for it. And then no one did it. And now they've just given up at this point. They're just like, yeah, we're a Pokemon Go company. But just that notion that it was a game that was starting to win, right? Like the behemoth of 40K was suddenly like, yeah, you can play 40K, or there's this X-Wing game, which even though BattleTech was good, the relaunch of BattleTech was actually kind of good. Like, I didn't hear anyone talking about it after a while. It was just, you know, whatever. And that's kind of sad, but it is what it is. Local players are fun. It's so weird, dude. Nerd communities and tabletop communities especially are so weird. Because, like, I never really heard much about BattleTech locally in terms of communities. So even though I was looking at it, I was like, I mean, no one's playing. It's cheaper. It's more effective at, you know, customization and stuff. It's kind of cool, but if no one's playing it, I don't want to put in the effort to have a really cool squad and all that fun terrain and everything done really well and then not play. And, like, literally recently, I'm hearing people be like, yo, let's go play BattleTech. It's like, God damn it, dude. Man, if only you guys supported it back when it was, like, exploding constantly online with new stuff. And they were really into the idea of getting more stuff out there. But then, like, interest just seemed to wane. And I haven't heard much about it since. Because they did tournaments. They did it right, I think. Where most tabletop gaming communities go wrong is they kind of lose the idea of, oh, we need to churn a good community that wants to keep playing it. Like, that's where Games Workshop gets it right, is that there's a massive community that wants to play it. And that they interact with them by constantly putting new stuff out. Like, that's a thing. It's kind of important. Like, a lot of companies just put a game out and expect it to win, right? Like, they're just like, oh yeah, it'll work. Well, what support are you doing afterwards? You gonna have tournaments? Nah. The community will sort that out. Are you gonna work with them to sort it out? No. It's like, okay. Okay. And I remember X-Wing was actually doing it. Like, there were tournaments popping up near me that were sanctioned X-Wing tournaments. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then boom, dead. Cue the GTA wasted music. Yeah, and the thing is, you never know, right? When a community is trying to keep the game going, you never know when the the company that owns the IP is going to step in, right? Like, that's a thing. That is a thing that we are constantly reminded of in video games. Like, I haven't really heard as much about the Smash community as I did way back, like, when the Switch got Smash. The last thing I heard was literally Nintendo being like, we're not letting you use our stuff, to one of the groups, because that group was being like a little underhanded, a little seedy. Right? Alright, let me try to finish this up. Apparently, we thought that at my parents' house, because they're in Florida, that the snow was going to be shoveled, because they pay a service for that. But apparently that service doesn't actually happen unless there's 6 inches of snow, and there is not. So we're coming up on a good part to stop, because we are getting to a place where I need to genuinely just work on pinning. So kind of with the last of this basing here. I actually don't know what this is. Thought this was for this, but it doesn't look like... Oh, this might be the tail. This might be tail. Maybe? Oh, no, this is that. Okay. But I'm gonna have to get moving. Got a bunch of crap I gotta do. Gotta go get gas. I gotta kind of get ready for my week a little bit. Supposed to have done it earlier, but, you know, 3 inches of snow. And roads weren't cleared yet. Because, yeah, we have the mid-body done. They want me to apply the wings. Then they want you to put the tail together. I want to pin this as well. Like, let me... There you go. I want to pin this as well. We need to pin this component in so that the whole truss that goes through it is reinforced and secure. And then, yeah, the wings need to be pinned. Because, dude, like, come on. This is the connecting point on the wing, right? That's the connecting point. It's got to sit there, and then this tiny, tiny little guy in his tiny little body has to fully support in some way, shape, or form. If I can get it to... There we go. Has to fully support that on that tiny little connecting point. Yeah, no, I'm pinning the hell out of this. Like, we did all those Lords of Change. We might even green stuff it after we pin it, honestly. But we did all those Lords of Change, and like the Lords of Change basically just hold themselves. Like, they're fine. I don't see issues with them. Because there's like a kind of over-under connection between the wing. Like, it's actually like a clamp almost. But it's flat. And I have done those historically. I did the old Lords of Change that were just a flat connection. Those fall off every single time you move them. But yeah. I gotta get moving. I gotta get some random crap done. I need to order some stuff, most likely, to be ready to finish this guy. I don't know if my local store is gonna have it. They might not. If not, I have to order it, which is probably what's going to end up happening. I got to wash my arm off again because there's glue on it again. Sag. But yeah, hopefully by the end of the week, we'll be back at it with finishing this guy up for building, and then we can get into painting. Because I am super excited to see what this guy's going to be like painted. Oh, be so good. Till next time, guys.